Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Victoria Coombs. I'm a former primary school teacher and now the primary lead at Century Tech. Now, when I was a teacher, planning and teaching creatively, for me, was the most rewarding part of the job. And I particularly enjoyed the challenge of planning for a new topic. I'd sit down with my partner teacher, we'd get an A3 sheet of paper and a packet of biscuits, and we'd aim to thread the topic through the curriculum in the most creative of ways. But as we progressed with the planning, it became hard to fit everything in, because planning and teaching creatively often takes more time. And when you've got books to mark, resources to make, interventions to plan, and especially at this time of the year, reports to write, creativity often takes a backseat. So with increasing pressure on addressing lost learning at the moment, how can we ensure that children are still given plenty of opportunities to learn creatively? So now let's think about technologies. Now, schools all around the world have done a fantastic job since the start of the pandemic, embracing new technology to keep children learning remotely, and I take my hat off to you all. But when schools think about how technology can help teaching and learning, it's often the technology that supports remote learning that springs to mind. So Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom, for example. But the right kind of technology can do so much more to help you in the classroom. And as this title of the webinar suggests, we'll be focusing on how technology can be used to enhance creativity in the primary classroom. So in this webinar, we're going to be hearing from some great speakers who will be sharing their tech solutions. We'll be hearing from Amanda Duncan and Jamie Russon and Claire Whetstone about their story-making platform, Scribeasy, and also Rebecca Zimmerman, the founder of One Day Creative. But to start us off, we're going to be hearing from Tom Thacker, head of schools at Century, who will be talking about how technology is currently changing the education landscape. I will also be giving you a taster of what Century can do to help free you up to teach more creatively. If you have any questions at all throughout this webinar, please do put them in the Q&A box and we'll try to answer them at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to my colleague, Tom Thacker.
Great, thank you very much, Tori, and good afternoon to everyone who's joined us, and maybe good morning, depending where you are in the world. So as Tori said, I'm going to be talking about kind of the impact of technology in schools in general. Before we get into that, a bit about me. So I'm the head of schools at Century, so I look after all our curriculum, and that's primary, secondary, of our FE colleges. And I'm a former teacher. I worked in secondary schools as a math teacher. And what I'm going to talk about, before our colleagues talk about Century and the other products today about creativity in the classroom, I'm about technology in general, how it's actually, I heard someone say the other day, talking to a primary school, where they described technology as the equalizer of our time. So I thought, thank you very much, I will steal that. It's a great phrase. So, of course, without a shadow of a doubt, COVID has been utterly awful for the entire world. However, there have been some gains in schools, and that is without doubt credit to each and every one of you watching today. What schools have done, and my wife is still a teacher, so I've seen it firsthand, has been absolutely incredible. And credit to everyone who's been involved in education, getting our schools and our children through this difficult time. There has been some gains. My main point for everyone else talks is don't lose your gains. Some of the most incredible things have been done during COVID, which are going to help you going forward. Don't forget about these things. So what's the impact been? Well, first of all, quite a simple way, you have more hardware than you probably ever had before in any of your schools. Is that now, maybe even today, or come September, going to sit on a dusty shelf? How are you going to use this kind of hardware you didn't have a year ago and hadn't planned to have? What you've also got is suddenly a school full of tech-savvy teachers. I remember when I was teaching, I didn't work in a tech-savvy school at all. And kind of me being a tech geek, I tried to make my department use lots of tech, and it didn't really work because the team were not skilled up enough in using technology. Suddenly, your entire school and your staff body and your pupils and probably your parents suddenly all great at technology. How can you use that to be creative, but also to help with kind of progress and learning? I remember 18 months ago, I said to a school, do you want a webinar? And their response was, what's a webinar? Now I say, do you want a webinar? They go, oh, do you want Zoom or Teams or Meets? Or they don't know all these different services for different webinars. So how are you going to use the upskilledness of your teachers? You've also probably got access to more data because technology than you've ever had before. How are you going to use kind of the more data that you've got to kind of improve learning and understanding? And unfortunately, what you've also got, probably no more snow days. I'm sure you've probably heard this from people talk before. Unfortunately, it sounds like snow days, and I used to enjoy the good old snow day, have gone forever because we're going to flip to online learning and there's even a drop of snow. So what else has changed? I think it's a really important point that the role of parents and guardians has changed because of COVID. I think a lot of parents and guardians, I definitely had it when I was teaching, would go, oh, education's a school's problem. I've dropped off at school, I've done my job, teachers now do your job. And suddenly, for a long, long time, parents were much more involved in their education. And that's been great. And I think people appreciate schools even more than they did before. But what are you going to do with this? Your parents are now more engaged. How can you keep them engaged? What resources can you provide them with? And today you're going to see like 3 great products that maybe can really help you with resources to parents. And the classic thing, are these resources you're providing more work for your staff and teachers? Or are they reducing your work, which is vital in these difficult times? So what about lost learning? We've heard this like kind of a phrase, lost learning loads. Let's talk about it briefly. So the key issue of lost learning, I think a lot of people in the media don't necessarily get, is the lost learning we've had in COVID has been uneven. If every pupil had forgotten how to add fractions or use determiners, catching up would be quite easy. Can you just adjust your scheme of work, have an extra lesson, fixed. The key issue with COVID is that every single pupil has lost different bits of information. And that's so hard as a teacher in a school to deal with. So what have you got to do first of all? I'm sure you've been doing this already. You've got to diagnose. How are you going to find those gaps? How have you been finding those gaps over the last few weeks? Or are you waiting for September to fully diagnose your cohorts, work out what they have and haven't retained? And I'm sure you're going to find a really uneven picture. And that is a real nightmare. And also, how do you diagnose without making it feel like an exam? How do you diagnose without doing a test and say to teachers, hey, here's loads of more marking for you to do, which was the last thing teachers need right now. And then how are you going to teach these gaps? Is it going to be whole class intervention? Are you going to use kind of your TA and learning support more? Are you going to do breakfast clubs, after school club? Are you going to kind of tap into the tutoring that's been promised a lot but severely underfunded? Another unrealised gain. I remember reading this article by Laura. I'm sure many of you have heard of her. She's pretty well known in the education space. But actually, the lockdown has shown a secret gap, as she calls it, in closing the English and maths and perhaps science gaps as well in the reading and writing. That many pupils that she found in the study that she wrote about, the links here, I'm happy to share these slides we shared with you afterwards, really talks about how some pupils who can sit and work on their own, who've got access to incredible physical or online resources, are suddenly able to progress much more than they were in a classroom. Because they weren't used to having access to these resources, doing it at their own speed. And that's, again, a real unrealised gain that could be there for you going forward. It doesn't have to be actually a COVID thing. How are you going to use this game now and come September as well? And one last thing I'll tap on that technology is proving really powerful for, and that's kind of relearning and testing. One of the key things that I learned too late when I was teaching maths is that students forget stuff. If students didn't forget what you taught them in class, teaching would be a really, really easy job. Teaching is an incredibly hard job because students forget things like all adults do, but students do it even more. I'm sure you've all heard of the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. And this is how that if you repeat information, it's how you kind of help to retain it over time. Now, of course, that first learned part in the graph I'm showing you here, in my view, should always be with an expert in the classroom, whether it's a teacher or kind of a TA or learning assistant or parent perhaps, They learn that first information. When can they review and practice it? Again, this is where technology can really come into its own, where you can have online quizzes, online videos, online practice to let students kind of review and retain that information. Are the products that you're using helping your students do this? And doing it without increasing workload. I used to do a lot of kind of this in my classroom, involved me marking for days and days and days, hence why I'm no longer in the classroom. What technology can really help you with that? And of course, there's also the testing effect. What this graph here is showing is a study by Rodrigo and Kapicki from 2006. They found that actually if students study and then are tested, rather than just kind of learning, they actually asked to recall that information, they retain more over time than just being kind of lectured to, just spoken to, just reading without practicing what they've actually learned. So again, the technology you're using, the resources you're using allowing students to do that deliberate practice, to practice what they've learned over and over again on the day, but also over time, of course. And that's kind of my brief summary of kind of the impact of edtech and how edtech can help you going forward. I'll hand back to Tori, who's going to give you a run through of the Century platform. So Tori, back to you.
Thanks, Tom. So now a little opportunity for me to tell you a little bit more about Century. So as teachers, you'll be juggling differentiated resources, marking, feedback, interventions, progress tracking, and hundreds of other things. It's just part of the job, but Century can help. So Century is an intelligent intervention tool that identifies gaps, addresses misconceptions, and creates personalized learning paths for your student. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen with you, and then we'll jump into Century and take a look. So here you can see a student's recommended learning path, and it's made up of mini micro lessons that we call nuggets. Now we've got thousands of these nuggets on the platform, covering English, maths and science to support learners from year 3 all the way through primary and into secondary and beyond as well. Now this path is powered by artificial intelligence, and it will constantly adapt to meet the needs of your learners, supporting them when they've got gaps and also challenging them when they need extra stretch. So Century's recommendations are kick-started by diagnostic assessments. So we'll have a look at one of these diagnostic assessments now. So we'll start this one. This is from the year 3 course, and this is the diagnostic for fractions. So if we move to the questions, you'll see this is a very low stakes assessment. We just want to find out what the student's strengths and weaknesses are within this topic, so that Century can recommend the right content for them. Now, as we go through, you'll notice that we're not finding out whether we're right or wrong. The score of these diagnostics is not what matters. What does matter is that Century is able to make the right recommendations for each student. Now, as soon as the students have finished this diagnostic, their pathway will have adapted for them. So if I go back to the path, we'll be able to see the nugget that's been recommended for us. So we'll open this up now. We've got adding and subtracting fractions. I'm just going to mute this video and talk over it, just explain a little bit about the content that we have on Century. So it's all made in-house by our team of ex-teachers. And we're very lucky to work alongside our in-house cognitive neuroscientists and also our designers, so that we can create content that is really engaging and will help to maximize learning. Now, with our maths especially, we follow a mastery approach. So if you're following any schemes such as White Rose, Maths No Problem, Power Maths, you'll find that our courses will complement those schemes. So students can watch these videos, they can go through at their own pace. There are also opportunities for the students to have a go to build up their confidence before moving on to the main assessment. They can also check their understanding by having a look at our Remember cards, And all of this learning material is available to them when they're going through the questions. So if they need to return back to the learning material, they can do. So onto the questions now. Now, unlike the diagnostics, the students will find out straight away if they're right or wrong. And if they are incorrect, what's really important is that Sensory will give them the feedback that they need. So if there are any misconceptions, then they can be addressed straight away. There's also this I don't know button. So if students aren't sure, they can let Sensory know that they're struggling. That will also flag up to the teacher that they're not sure. And so perhaps they can receive some additional support in that area. Now, when students have finished the nugget, they'll be given obviously their score and also the opportunity to try the nugget again if they want to, so that they can see if they can improve their score. So I appreciate this is a very whistle-stop tour of the student side of the platform, but hopefully it's given you a little understanding about how students can learn using Sensory. What we're now going to do is move over to the teacher side. Now with the teacher side, there are a whole load of fantastic features, but in this short demo, I'm just going to focus on the best feature, which is this markbook. Now, the markbook is brilliant for you to be able to identify where your student gaps are, which topic areas they've got a really secure understanding, where there might be not so hot on those particular areas. And as we move through the markbook here, you can see we've obviously got the scores reflected here, and the data is quite scattered. And that is exactly what you would expect, because the students are all working on their own unique pathways. However, we can see here, for example, that we've got a full class set of data for recognizing face value. And as a teacher, you are in control. You've always got Sensory's recommendations in the background, supporting your students' learning. But if you want to set a specific nugget so that you've got a full set of data for that nugget, then you can do that. So it's very quick for you to identify who's got a really secure understanding, and who may benefit from some additional support. Maybe this student needs an intervention to help them a little bit more. But obviously you can find out more. So with this student here, we know that they got 40%, so their score wasn't brilliant. What we can do is we can click on that. We can find out how they've engaged with the content. So we can see exactly how long they've spent on the nugget. We can see how long they have spent watching the video, and also how long they've spent on each question. And the best bit here is we know that they've got this wrong, but we want to know what that question is. So we can open it up and we can see exactly what that student's misconception is. So this is a really, really useful tool that can help you with your planning, can help you with intervention, and just gives you all of that information that would take a lot of time to gather without, if you had to, create your own assessments and mark them as well. So hopefully that's given you a good flavour of what Sensory is all about. So hopefully it can act as a sidekick, freeing you up to spend more time focusing on the more creative side of teaching. And if you would like to see more of Sensory and you'd like to have a full demo, then you can get in contact with one of our partnership managers and they would love to give you a full demo. So now that you've heard a little bit about Sensory, I'm going to pass over to Amanda Duncan and James Russon, also Claire Whetstone as well, for us to find out more about Scribeasy.
Lovely to meet you all, and I'm very excited to be here on this topic that's really close to our hearts as a team that's creating technology for creative writing. We are a creative writing platform that was developed really to engage children through using their photos and images. And the idea started very much as a way to be a an engaging tool so that children who struggle to get started with writing would find it an appealing method. And the benefits of creative technology, it actually started through a personal experience of a son who has dyslexia. Very bright boy, but really struggled to get involved in his writing and take ownership. And for me as a founder, it was very much around the loss of his creative thought flow. And the idea came through the idea of how being trying to engage children through more broadly by getting them interested and then involved in their own learning. And it was interesting that as a picture process, it became a very powerful tool for children to be able to unlock and find pictures to talk about. There's a method called sound play therapy. My background was an A-level arts teacher and also a degree-level teacher, and I worked in advertising with visual effects. And there was something very, very powerful about when you have the similar images, but then backgrounds change. And it became a very powerful tool that I could see was a medium, a bit like Photoshop, but to give that sort of ability, that technique to children to start to be able to have choices around the things that they wanted to write about. It was also a very powerful tool to start to visualize a spelling list. And without realizing it, children were inventing stories with a spelling list. Engagement is huge. And actually, by allowing children to pick the images that they liked, sometimes getting a child to engage with the curriculum is difficult. But if you allow them to get involved through the pictures that's their choices, then actually you can lead them into that pathway back into engagement and get the children that aren't turning up into school, for example, or are distracted in the classroom and then become distracted. So the beauty, as we've got more and more involved in ed technology, is how we can start to support learning environments. And we can provide a system that allows students to take risks. We can start to nudge them to build a preference for complexity. So to try a little bit harder rather than taking the easy route out, not being a passive learner. To drive more questions, to get them to become more curious. Kids love using their phones, they love taking photos. This image making process became a very powerful and very accessible tool for children that wouldn't normally want to be telling a story. And ultimately, we're starting to see results where children are going beyond the convention. And the beauty of technology is that as they write, once words are on the page, we can start to capture data and show children's patterns and their interests. During lockdown, and Claire's going to talk to us a little bit more about that, but we've worked very closely with charities in Enfield Borough and schools. And we use the platform, for example, to do little miniature stories where we're encouraging children to observe, journal writing, creating still lifes with everyday objects, and then creating a biography, taking characters into different settings, so objects that they loved around the home, and co-creating with friends, and also using it for things like visualizing, for careers, where would you like to be? We've had some very powerful results with children who would normally, as I say, not be writing, but have obviously clearly got skills, but writing's become a little bit less, more appealing for them. This one, for example, is where we used weather backgrounds, and we asked the children, this was actually in a class of 30 children, we asked the children all to choose a weather and say how it made them feel. So this boy, for example, chose the emotion calm, and this was quite powerful because as a boy, we were told he was normally quite disruptive. And you can see he chose an object then, which he described as being his father in him in the clouds, and he wrote a very poetic piece, and which he stood up and read to the rest of the class. And I think that's a very powerful thing for us with the use of supplying creative tools, that children have more ownership over their stories, but also they want to share and they're proud of their work. During COVID, we were very fortunate to receive some money from the government, which has allowed us to build a platform that can start to integrate with museum objects. So for teachers and children, we can offer a very powerful and a broad image bank that can connect children with museums and cultural objects that they wouldn't normally discover. And we've used automation so that you can start to auto-generate stories, so children would have a few picture prompts to start their stories with. And from the picture, they can build up a scene and also learn about objects and start to write the stories. And then we've got technology in the platform. You can see here a screen here where the child is starting to compose a picture. And then as they go into the writing, we've got supportive tools for spelling and grammar, a thesaurus. And the child makes a flip book, an e-flip book at the end, which they can share with their teacher, or the teacher can co-create and also annotate or comment into their stories. Example from the image bank, and we also encourage the children they can add to the image bank too, which helps them research the topics that they're writing about, and they can add video or sounds, audio, and start to build up investigative skills. I was mentioned earlier about data. We can analyse the children's writing and start to give the teacher and the writer lots of support about the parts of speech, the types of words that they're using, how their words are falling into different word tiers. For example, high frequency words, which will nudge them to then start to use different words from the thesaurus to start to build up their unique vocabulary. Some fun examples of children, these are reception years, and you can see the connective thinking from the scene that's been made here, and the deeper level of thinking that starts to unlock. This one was a more prescriptive class where the children, so excuse the printouts here, where the children were asked to find the crooked house and describe the goblin, for example, through the house. And you can see from these 5-year-old children that the amazing level of description that's coming here. And you can see words such as corrupt, which was replaced from the thesaurus to replace the word bad. And you can see how children very young become very ambitious and switched on to their writing and using bigger vocabulary. So stories build very quickly. Children start writing very quickly in classrooms. And then we do have a video, but probably running out of time. So and I'd love Claire to speak more, but we can follow up with a video to show you teachers using this classroom examples and testimonials from people. But most importantly, I think the thing to remind people is that behind tech are people. And when you're talking to, you're talking about a platform, we're very responsive to people's feedback, and we're creating a product with teachers and schools. So it's a very much a collaborative process. And so we're very delighted to be here today to be engaging with teachers. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Claire Whetstone, and I've worked in both schools and community organisations for over 30 years, with an emphasis on working with disabled young people, young carers, young people experiencing social deprivation, and those with poor mental well-being as well. In Scribeasy's infancy, we initiated workshops with learning disabled pupils to start with, on the basis that if the programme worked well for them, it would work well for most pupils. We've also carried out a number of weekend workshops working with young carers who'd missed a lot of schooling, as well as young students who had English as a second language. Very positive results. The major learning from these workshops was not only that the children enjoyed working with the programme because it was real fun, but we recorded how it boosted their self-esteem and allowed children to find the words and pictures to bring a voice to their feelings and experiences. At this point, we realised that the programme was also an effective complementary mechanism to our existing mental health and wellbeing programmes. When people think about early intervention to support mental well-being, there's a real emphasis on talking therapies, which doesn't work for everybody. And we realised that we need a much broader range of tools in our mental backpacks in order to offer a bespoke intervention for children and young people where necessary. We've now teamed this programme together with our mindfulness and breathing space in schools programmes, and we're able to offer a much more holistic approach to early help interventions. We also run the Scribeasy programme in tandem with our adult literacy programmes in our community centre for parents, offering easy access on a drop-in basis. So what the platform has offered us and our community is a number of wonderful ways to inspire and engage young people, and to enable them to use their own photographs and add a sense of realism and help them integrate their own world into a story and describe more specifically their needs and emotions. And this helps them feel much more connected and motivated to complete their stories, whether their stories are based on reality or whether their stories are completely imaginary. Thank you.
Hello. Can everybody see me?
Yes.
My name is Jamie Russon. I've recently joined Scribeasy to help Amanda really grow its potential into the market, but I'm not here to talk just only about that. I think I really wanted to just share with the audience and thank everybody for joining us today. My experience, which is a personal emotive one, which has come from my son's struggle with learning as well, that maybe veer off to support someone like Amanda in this space, having heralded from a much more commercial background in construction, actually. So a very different background, much less experience than Claire, and thank you, Claire, for those comments from your use of Scribeasy. And I've been blown away really by what technology can do now in the classroom and how it supports teachers. And I think, as Tom from Century there really clearly articulated, it's been thrust into the fore with the COVID pandemic. I think not only, I began to see it in the commercial world where business was starting to use technology. So to now see it in an educative environment firsthand and understand really the tools that are available for teachers and for their students to benefit from their use, I think is amazing. So I really wanted to just put a face to the name today for Scribeasy and thank the co-collaborators, Century and One Day for their collaboration today, and look forward to speaking to any interested parties going forward and wish you all the very best in your holidays to come. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Rebecca, I think it is, from One Day.
Hello. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Rebecca Zimmerman and I am founder of One Day Creative. We are a very small team based in Yorkshire who are incredibly lucky to work with a large freelance facilitation team who are based right across the UK. This really talented bunch are the ones that deliver our drama, dance and music workshops in schools. We bring the curriculum to life. Through the workshops, we cover everything from the Great Fire of London and ancient Maya, right through to world events, culture, literacy, online safety, and PSHE. We've been trusted by our schools now since 2013. So not all children are academic learners. They don't all confidently speak, put their hand up in class, read and write, but I know you guys don't need me to tell you this. Our mission at One Day has always been to empower young people through creative education to believe in themselves and to achieve their dreams. The best bit of feedback that we can get from a workshop is, I cannot believe you got that child to do that. Even the shyest children, children who speak English as a second language, they often thrive in our workshops. So when the first lockdown happened back in March 2020, schools shut for the first time in living history, and we knew that we had to do something to continue the creative learning journey for children in schools and to continue to support our teachers. So we had to pivot the business and we had to take learning online. I'd often thought about how to use technology and performance in order to reach schools right across the country. So, for example, it's always been really difficult and cost prohibitive for us to visit schools in Cornwall or West Wales, for example. I love the idea of an online workshop library. So like an online world of workshops where if I'm a teacher, maybe I'm a year 2 teacher and I've got Florence Nightingale coming up, I could just log on and access a world of workshops and search for the thing that I'm looking for, and then to be presented with reams of videos. So we set about transforming our most popular in-school workshops into engaging videos. We knew that there are a lot of companies out there providing educational videos, but I didn't know of anyone who were providing fully animated, interactive, on-demand workshop videos that could be controlled by the teachers. So we built a very basic web app, a website where the videos could sit, and we piloted it with about 15 primary schools across the UK and an international school in Malaysia to make sure that the app worked, that the concept worked, and that they could play the videos, no facilitator physically present in school. It worked, we got great feedback, so we continued to create content. We've also continued to develop Uno, to which I'm going to show you now. So hopefully you can see that on the screen. This is the homepage that you land when you log into Uno. We've got a little live chat feature so that you don't have to wait for an email response. We get back to you instantly, and you can instantly search what you're looking for by using the search bar along here. So if I'm searching for the Victorians, it will bring up the Victorian videos. If I am searching for something that we don't currently have in the app at the moment, it will tell you that we don't have anything and you can request it. If we've got a school in London, a school in Aberdeen, and a school in Kuala Lumpur all asking for the same thing, the chances are we're going to make it. You can search just by using the drop-down menu here. So if I'm a Key Stage 2 teacher and I'm just looking for Key Stage 2 history, we can go for it like that as well. So the first thing I want to show you, it is a bit of a whistle-stop tour, is our online safety video. I'm going to show you our Key Stage 1 online safety video, which was quite easily one of our most played videos for spring term as we had to deliver Safer Internet Day at home. You can preview all the videos for up to 90 seconds, but the easiest thing to do is click straight into watch, which will take you to the video. You'll see a full workshop description. We'll look at the chapters in a moment, and we get some curriculum objectives and our learning links. Every single video has an accompanying teacher guide. Now, the teacher guide is there to tell you what exactly is in each part of the workshop, what the teaching points are, and then we provide some additional activities on how you can challenge the children, support those who are struggling, and then follow up with some follow-up work. We also provide some ready-made activity sheets, so lesson plans that you can pass out to the children post viewing the video. We've added this fantastic share button. So when we went into lockdown in spring last year, we had Chinese New Year, we had Mental Health Week for children, we had Safer Internet Day. This allowed schools to share the videos directly with the children at home. So once that link is copied, it's valid for 7 days, and all the children will get is the video itself, so none of the teacher guides, etc. So I'm just going to give you a little insight into the Key Stage 1 online safety video and skip through the chapters to show you how the chapters work as well.
Oh, I feel a bit dizzy. But it says I can't move any further without creating a username. Right, okay, I'll put in my name, Jess, and then my place of birth, Wolverhampton, and my age, 27.
No,
and
stop.
What?
Don't put your personal information on the internet.
Why?
Because there's strangers on the internet,
Oh.
and we don't share our personal information with strangers.
Of course, Captain Digi.
So nothing like your name.
Oh.
And here we are in level 3. Well, hoist the mainsail, man the hatches, and rig the rigging.
Captain Digi, look. There's a dolphin. Oh, he's so sweet. Oh, look, he's coming towards us. Come here, little dolphin. Oh, why are his teeth so sharp? And he's got a big fin and oh.
That's not a dolphin.
It's a shark.
Oh, I've heard about level 3, but I've never been here before. There are some people online who pretend to be something that they aren't.
So hopefully that just gives you a little look into some of the online safety content. The Key Stage 2 workshop obviously is pitched completely differently. I just wanted to show you, if we go into history, if we look at Stone Age, now that's one of our most popular in-school workshops. If we were in a school, we would take the children down into the main school hall for the full day and we'd deliver a drama workshop for them. Now, we've developed this so that if you want to do that, you can do the same thing. But we also know that so many of our schools that have been using Uno have preferred to deliver it in bite-sized chunks, which is why we've created chapters, which means that if you want to deliver 1 to 2 chapters every week across a half term, it just means you've got the chance to get your teeth into the follow-up activities and the extension work. I just wanted to give you a sample into one of the songs. This is the Stone Age rap. It's one of the first things that we ever filmed, and it was the biggest success of the pilot back in autumn. Now, we all know that music, songs are great for memory retention. And the great thing about the songs is that there's not much teacher intervention needed. So once you press play, you can just let the children take part.
To the music. So get ready, listen to that beat, and see if you can join in with the chorus that I add at the end. Let it take you back many centuries ago. Man came to Britain to escape the snow. Hunters and gatherers landed here. Nomads chasing mammoths and deers. It was a Paleolithic age when living in caves was all the rage.
So it's now thanks to Carly that I can say the word Paleolithic, because quite honestly, I always struggled with that word. So that's some of the music. Now, I just wanted to lastly, in comparison, show you a dance workshop. This term, I would say our Japanese fan dance has been the most popular workshop with the Olympics being in Tokyo. But my personal favourite is our Dance Carnival Brazil workshop, and especially with Children's Carnival Week coming up in July. So I just wanted to give you a little insight into this one. We normally learn about the culture, we do a warm-up with the children, we learn a routine, and then we put that routine to music. With every single song and dance, we provide the soundtrack as well so that you can rehearse the dances and the songs to your heart's content. And who knows, this time next year, maybe get those parents back in the school hall watching, fingers crossed.
Hello everybody and welcome to Dance Carnival Brazil! Now my name is Faye.
And my name is Mirabelle.
And we are going to take you on a journey across the planet to Brazil. Brazil hosts one of the largest carnivals across the planet. Now, closer to home, we have our very own carnivals. From Notting Hill Carnival, which is held in the capital city of London. Then, there's the longest running carnival that we have in Europe, which happens to be in Leeds. And one crucial element to our carnival, Mirabelle. 3, 2, 1. Woo! That is more like it, definitely. Are we ready to dance? Okay, Mirabelle, I want you to work those hips. All right. It's all about the hips at Carnival. Are we all joining in? Ready with those 4 key moves? 5, 6, 7, 8. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey! Hey, 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 hey! Last one! Hey, hey, hold the palm! Nice!
Okay, so hopefully that just gives you a little look into the difference as well between some of the drama and then some of the dance. Again, the dance workshops, very little intervention needed from the teachers, which is always popular. So it's all very good and well for me to sit here and tell you how fabulous Uno is, but I just wanted to play a short video testimonial from one of our schools in Salford. Now, this school uses every single year for Safer Internet Day, but of course this February we couldn't go in, so they used the Uno platform instead. Upon seeing the range of content that was in Uno, they decided to subscribe for the full year, so I'll just hand it over to Emma.
The videos on the Uno platform are very engaging, very informative and very fun. The children have enjoyed watching them. Now, some of the features on there make it really good to have in school. I would highly recommend the One Day Creative team and their Uno online platform. The presenters are fantastic. The videos are very informative. The resources and the support that you get with the platform and the presenters from the workshops are phenomenal.
So we hope we've made the videos so that you don't need to be a performing arts specialist or enthusiast to co-deliver, but we know that there are some teachers out there that will really want to co-facilitate a little bit more. They might want to line the children up outside the room and enter the room in character. So with that in mind, we've created a Creativity in the Classroom CPD course for those teachers that do want to embed more drama, more performing arts into their everyday teaching. So I'm just going to pass you over to Clem that can give us a little insight into this course.
Have you ever wanted to make your lessons even more engaging? Perhaps using the performing arts like drama or dance within your lessons? Maybe your school is going for ArtSmart or just wants to include more arts in their curriculum. Here at Uno by One Day Creative, we've developed a series of professional development sessions that will help you to build confidence in adding more performing arts into your everyday lessons and in co-facilitating alongside Uno. Each 5 to 10 minute session will include instantly applicable activities and tips that you can use in your lessons straight away or add to your planning. We'll cover everything from structuring your activities through to managing behaviour in a creative way, using lots of different spaces like your school hall or your classroom, and will build confidence both for you and your pupils. Since these sessions are available on demand, you can watch them anytime you like. And because they're only 5 to 10 minutes long, time won't be a barrier. They're available to every member of staff at all subscribing schools. We believe in outstanding creative education for everyone, and you can be a part of that. Sign up now at oneday.uno.
So every single attendee will get the first episode of that series via Vimeo link after this event today. So alongside all of our work in Uno, we're busy delivering workshops again across the country, thank goodness. We're also busy creating content for Anti-Bullying Week because the Anti-Bullying Alliance has just released their One Kind Word theme for this November. In Uno, we've got to look forward to an early years foundation stage package, so superheroes, people who help us. We've got a Black History Month package and also a Women in History series that's going in the autumn term. So Rosa Parks, we've got Amelia Earhart, we've got Grace Darling and Mary Seacole, as well as Florence Nightingale, who we already have in the app. As someone who has a background in the performing arts, I did drama at university. I never in a million years would have thought that we could fuse together technology and the performing arts to engage learners, but it just works. It really does. All teachers need to do is connect their screen to a white screen, connect the device to a screen, and they just press play. So it's something that's really going to assist with a blended learning and hopefully to reduce teacher workload as well. Pricing starts $395 for the full year, and that's for unlimited users within a school. And yes, you can all use it at the same time. Every single teacher within the school will have their own login, including teaching assistants. So it's great for PPA cover as well. We know how much money you all spend on workshops in schools, so hopefully this will just be a way to house them all in one place. And what we really hope is compelling about the new One Day Creative is that our customers will continue to use us for our in-school workshops, but they'll also use Uno as an everyday classroom companion as well. thank you so much for your time today. I really hope you've enjoyed learning about Uno and One Day Creative. And yeah, thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you, really. Thank you so much, Becky. That was really interesting watching that, and what a wonderful thing to come out of the pandemic. I think watching those really made me smile, and I can imagine lots of children and teachers all around the country really loving those workshops. And so, thank you, and also thank you as well to Amanda and Jamie as well. Really great to hear from you too. We've just got a little bit of time left for this webinar. So if you do have any questions, please do pop them in the chat or the Q&A, and I can direct them to either somebody from Scribeasy or One Day Creative, or if you have any questions about Century, then I'm very happy to answer those as well. Just perhaps while we wait for some questions to come in, just to let you know, if you do want to find out more about any of the platforms, then we will be sending a follow-up email to you after this webinar, and that will include a little bit of information about each of the platform, and then also contact details so that you can get in contact to find out more.
So we've had a couple of questions come in. I've got one for Becky straight away. So for how do teachers tend to use the content in class? Do they use it in class? Do they do cover work? Is it for assemblies? I'm sure you're gonna say all of the above. Any more you want to add and like a bit more kind of like depth into that would be great.
Yeah, so most of the workshops can be played from the comfort of your own classroom. I know for some of the dance workshops, you might prefer to take the children down into the school hall and connect your device up to a screen in the school hall. The songs are great to be played in the classroom. Yes, like I said, every single member of staff in the school would have access to it. It means that PPA cover, TAs can run the workshops during PPA cover. So yeah, all of the above. Great, that's really interesting. Yeah, you know, as a secondary maths teacher, I found that those videos very intimidating. There's a lot of movement. They look incredible. I'm sure primary schools absolutely love them. I can see how much they've been used. We've got a question for Amanda. If you can come on off mute, Amanda. Kind of what are your top tips, or perhaps Claire as well, or Jamie? What are your top tips for those children who are reluctant to write and perhaps during COVID have really lost confidence? And what are kind of your top tips to get them up and going?
Hi there, can you see me?
Yes, yeah. We can, Amanda. Go for
it. Well, top tips. I think getting children, not letting them know that they're going to be writing necessarily. I think drawing them in. We have a video that I didn't show today, but it's packed with teachers who've used Scribeasy, and they've shown how, for example, they've got children they were doing Iron Man, for example, and the children built, made cardboard robots. They read the passages, and then because they'd invested into making their characters, they photographed them, took them into different settings within the platform, and then modelled their writing on Ted Hughes. So it was very easy for the teacher to drop in the text, and then the children could kind of model. You'll see in the video, if we're able to send out the link to everybody, it's on Vimeo, but you'll see examples of that. But actually, my son said to me, "Mum, you trick people into writing." And I think if there's a personal investment through the image, or allowing children either to have drawn something, integrate school artwork, or make sounds and then bring those into the platform, all of those multi-sensory things start to trigger off the words. Within the platform itself, you can actually click on words and then use construct sentences, for example, by adding in connectives, adding spellings in. So actually very quickly there's words on the page, and then it's not so onerous to keep going. And using dictation as well gets words on the page, but describing from pictures. Because we always use photographs, it really helps with inference, for example. So, you know, what's going on is a powerful but very simple but powerful tool. in terms of asking children to describe from a photo that they've made and composed something. They'll bring their memories to it. It's visceral as well as visual.
Great, fascinating. Had a very similar question for Century and for One Day Creative. Can you talk, like, say, for Tori and Becky, and maybe perhaps Clem, talk a bit more about that kind of like the curriculum coverage, for lack of a better phrase? Like, what topics, what kind of things do you cover in general, and what have you got coming soon as well? Both. So Tori, if you want to go first, and then hand over to Becky and Clem. Oh, Tori, you're on mute.
Sorry. So in terms of coverage, we've got English, Maths and Science for the whole of Key Stage 2. But obviously we do have some Key Stage 1 content built into the platform as well, just to help those Key Stage 2 learners that do have some gaps from Key Stage 1.
I'll pass on to Clem.
Hi, nice to see you all. Extremely embarrassing watching myself there, but really wonderful to be able to reach so many people. We're covering so much. We've got most of the topics you could find in the Key Stage 2 curriculum. I know there's a lot about history, so coming from Romans, Greeks, up to Egypt, we've got the Mayans, all those history topics and those topic-based things. We've got earthquakes and volcanoes, forces and magnets contents in there. There's so much that I could list for hours, so I won't do that. There is a chance to log on and have a little look at what is available. So I would encourage you to do that and yeah, have a look on our website first, because I think that will give a good vision as to what's coming through. And equally, as Becky said, you can put that request in. If there's something particular that you would really like to see us do, put the request in and we can hopefully help you out. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Becky?
Say as well, I forgot to mention, everyone is welcome to sign up for a 28-day free trial. So all you need to do is go to oneday.uno and just sign up. There's no commitment, there's no card details asked for, so you're more than welcome to go and have a nosy at all the content on there. I know that we've been filming an Aboriginal Australian storytelling workshop today, and we're currently filming Ben in West Africa. So yeah, we cover a wide range of the curriculum. Anti-bullying week, online safety, mindfulness is huge, and the most popular workshops at the moment on there are the history of the Olympics, resilience and sportsmanship, and Japanese fan dance.
Brilliant. Thank you so much again, everybody, for telling us about your platforms this afternoon, and also thank you to you all for joining us. And we look forward to getting in touch in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Have a good evening.